Hey guys, what's up? If you don't know me already, my name is Trey. I am a trans man. I've been transitioning since 2010. I have been a certified personal trainer since 2011. I run a Facebook page that's called Transgender Nutrition and Fitness. I will link that below if you're trans and you want fitness tips and nutrition information, or if you just want just a place to talk about your struggles, your goals, your progress. I will link that below. Okay, so anyway, the reason I'm making this video is because after running this group for a while, I have realized that a lot of trans guys have issues with not just eating disorders in general, but specifically emotional eating and binge eating, which is actually a disorder, binge eating disorder. And I want to kind of talk about my personal experience with that because I feel like, I haven't made this video yet because I feel like as a personal trainer there are certain expectations of me. I have to present myself in a certain way, but I guess I've realized over time that I don't have to be perfect because I'm far from perfect. Nobody's perfect, right? So I think part of the reason that I'm sharing this is because I feel like if you have a story that other people can relate to, you can help those other people. And that's the main reason I became a personal trainer, because I did struggle on my own. I've changed my life. I still struggle, and I'm going to share that with you today because I think it's important. I think people need to know that even people who seem to have their shit together don't. I definitely don't, and I just want to share a little history and where I came from and what my experience is with binge eating disorder, which I have to admit I'm self-diagnosed because I've never been to a professional to talk about this because it's embarrassing. And if I would seek out professional help, or if I would have, they would have definitely diagnosed me. So I'm not like trying to self-diagnose or anything, but I'm just going to share my personal history and you guys can kind of see for yourself what I'm talking about. So just a little background. My when I was growing up, my mom was a chronic dieter. Um, and I'm not blaming my mom for my issues. I'm just giving you a little bit of information so you maybe understand where I'm coming from. So my mom was a chronic dieter, but a yo-yo dieter, and I think growing up I saw a lot of that, and I inherited that a little bit. So even when I was, I guess I don't remember a time in my life that I haven't struggled with food or with my body image. And I think because I come across sometimes as a hard ass, people don't realize that about me, and I'm sure a big reason is because I don't share that, because quite honestly it's embarrassing for me. And I think it's embarrassing for a lot of people, which is why people aren't talking about it, and it's why I was finally like, okay, Trey, you have to make this video, because even though you're putting yourself in a vulnerable position, like it's a position that you need to put yourself in because other people are going to be able to relate and maybe you can help other people. And that's what I hope that I can do here, because I know that I'm not alone. I know that I'm not. I've seen so many trans guys openly admit that they struggle with the same thing, and it's terrible. You know, like if you haven't ever dealt with binge eating disorder, you have no idea what it's like. And I'm not saying that, you know, you can't have an opinion on it, but you just don't understand. Like when I'm talking about binge eating disorder, I'm talking about like and body image too. Like I can't remember a time in my childhood that I didn't either have or deal with binge eating on a regular basis, or I didn't feel like crap about my body. And that's terrible. It's terrible that like during my childhood, the time that I should be enjoying without stress, without problems, like worry free, I was constantly obsessing over stuff, and I don't even know how it started. What I will tell you is, the first situation in which I realized, like, and maybe I didn't realize it then, but looking back I realized it. But the first time that like this kind of came about that I remember is I would come home from elementary school and I would just tear the house up. Like I would go to the kitchen, and this wasn't just after school snack. Like this was like I would go home and I would like eat like 2 packs of Pop Tarts. like cheese crackers, Little Debbie's cakes, like multiple. I mean, I probably had like 1,200 to 1,500 calories of crap just after school. And this was like, I was still going to have dinner afterwards. I had had lunch, I had had breakfast. Like, we didn't starve as kids outside of that. So it's not like I was just trying to eat because I was hungry. It was completely emotional. And I don't even know what the emotions were that I experienced at that time. I don't know. Like, I just know that it happened and I know that I was an issue. So that's kind of the beginning of it, right? Um, so just fast forward, I'm 15. After doing that multiple years, I'm chunky, right? And I think, oh gosh, I can't even give you my weight at the time, but I was fat. So at that time, when I was 15, my dad had actually started to get into cycling. So he kind of got me into working out. So I would go ride my bike with him. I was still chunky, but I would ride my bike. And I really got into that. And then he started working on his health. And my dad at the time, he had a big belly. He lost probably 50, 60 pounds, and he did it by cycling and counting his calories. So at 15, I learned how to count calories. And I learned that by counting calories, I could lose weight. And at 15, like, I really cared about that because my body dysphoria was like at an all-time high because you're in high school at that time, and people talk, and it matters like on a really significant level what people think at that time in your life. Unfortunately, I've obviously changed at this point because I'm 36 and I don't give a fuck what people think. But so anyway, I lost a lot of weight. I got down to like 135. I think it was like 5'3" at that time. So I was pretty lean, but I remember at the time I felt super fat. So my mind didn't really see what my body was, and I still have that issue. I just talking to my fiance, she tells me, she's like, you don't see your body for what it is, and I don't. I'm very hard on myself, and that's something that I'm still working on, and I'll probably continue to work on for a long time. It's not something that you could fix overnight. If you have body issues, if you have body image issues, it takes time, and it takes a lot of work to overcome that. And I don't know, maybe it's something that is always going to be there, and I'm always going to have to fight it. I'm always going to have to practice self-acceptance and just keep learning. So, but kind of off topic here, but so going back, so I lost all the weight, and then I got a job at a restaurant. I started driving. um, the thing is, just because you lose the weight that you got from binging doesn't mean you've it doesn't mean you've gotten rid of the behavior. Maybe it's still there because you haven't actually focused on the issues that you're having, and that was my issue. So I didn't really focus on the problem. I focused on a temporary solution, and I felt good at the time, But what happened was I started binging again. I got a job. I started driving. I Just to kind of put this in perspective, when I say binging, when I was like 16 to 18, I worked here, and it's not like my binging history. It's not like it was every single day for a long period of time. Like, it could go like I had a really bad couple months, and then I could have a couple months where like it didn't phase me much, but I still thought about food. It was always on my mind. My body was always on my mind, but I wasn't binging every single day. But the days I did binge, I would stop at the gas station on the way home from work and buy like $10 worth of shit and eat it. I mean, it was it was bad. It was so bad. I wasn't even hungry, Like, it was all emotional. And at that time, I'm pretty sure it had to do a lot with my transition and what was happening with my body. And I feel like a lot of people go through that. I just didn't realize that's what it was. I didn't make the connection at the time that that's what it was. So fast forward, my 135 turned into like 185 or 190. It got to a point to where I wasn't weighing myself because I was so depressed about how I looked and what I had done to my body. And to be honest with you, that kind of continued probably for a few years after high school. I mean, it was a while. It was a long time. Um, I finally moved out of my small town and I went to Columbus, Ohio, and I actually found a community there, and I started to get into a better place mentally. and I started running, and I really got into that. So running was kind of the thing that kind of got me away from the binging, because I was focused on something that I actually liked. I really enjoyed running. So I kind of got away from binging for a little bit during that time. And then shortly after that, I would say about 4 years later, I was a regular runner, average, still obsessed with my body and not happy with it, but I was in a much better place. Well, then I joined the military, and I can't say that my binging continued regularly in the military, but it was still there, and it was still something I dealt with. And I was so embarrassed that I couldn't even, I didn't even know who to go to get help. I didn't know what to do. I just, I would get into this habit of, I would binge, and then, I would feel bad about it, and then I was like, oh shit, like, okay, now I've gained all this weight. So then I would like diet again, lose some weight. Because the thing is, I learned when I was 15 what I needed to do to lose weight. But like I said, the binging tendencies never went away, and that's something that continued, and it's it's been a constant battle throughout the years. And since I was 15, I mean, no, not since I was 15, since way before that, when I was a kid. I mean, this is something I've dealt with going on 30 years. And it's fucking depressing. It's really fucking depressing. And I want to say that I'm in a better place now, but I'm still not 100%. And I still deal with it. I can have like a few months of fine, like I don't obsess over food, but at the same time I always know what I'm eating, because when you track calories since you're 15, like you just know what things are. You know exactly what's in everything. I mean, it's not a good place to be. Like sometimes as a personal trainer, sometimes I'm like, man, like people who don't know anything about nutrition are so lucky because they don't have to like, I obsess because I know. I know what's in every single thing. Like I've watched calories for so many years that I can just look at something and say, okay, that's how many calories it's in. That's how many calories that's in it. Like I know. I don't. It's not even a guess. Like I just know. I've just been obsessed for that, that long. So sometimes it's like I wish I didn't know so much, which is crazy. Like who wishes for less education? But I think to a certain point, education can destroy you. If you know too much of something, you can become obsessed, and it's not a good place to be. So I guess I'm just making this video to say that if you're struggling with binge eating, you're not alone. And I'm gonna make other videos about how I've overcome that in a sense, because I'm not 100%, and I'll admit that to you. I still struggle sometimes. It's not where it used to be, but I still struggle, and I constantly have to check in on myself and just be like, okay, where are you right now? And I still have body image issues. Like I'm probably gonna always have that, and that's sad. But I feel like I'm in a much better place than I was, and a lot of it's just unlearning unhealthy habits. Um, if you've made it this far in the video, I will let you know that I am in the process of completing a 12-week nutrition education course that actually focuses on things that have helped me over the years overcome this. And like I said, not overcome, but get to a much better place. And it's more focused on behavioral change and not so much tracking of calories, but just things that you can do to live a healthier lifestyle and make progress without obsession. So if you're interested in that, I'll go ahead and link some information below. I'm going to run a beta test group soon, so if you want in on that, it's going to be a lot cheaper if you do the beta test versus actually when I release it. So yeah, I think that it's going to help a lot of people. I've had a lot of trial and error over the years, and I hope to hell you don't go through that too, because it's exhausting. It's exhausting to constantly think about food, to constantly think about what you're going to eat, to constantly think how many calories it is in it, like fats, proteins, carbs. Like it's exhausting. And I will say there is a time and a place for that stuff, but it's a very select few, and it's, like for instance, if you're a bodybuilder or something like that, which that's actually something else I left out. I did a bodybuilding show too, and I think that kind of that was 5 years ago, and it kind of made things worse for me If you struggle with binge eating disorder or any eating disorders really, I don't think a bodybuilding show is where you should be. And I'm speaking from experience because I feel like I kind of went through a downward spiral after that. And I think part of the reason is because you get in your best physical shape that you've probably ever been in your life if you're doing a show, and then it's not sustainable. So once you go away from that, you kind of spiral, or I did at least. I can't speak for what your experience will be or what it was, but for me, it was bad. That obsession on that level is not a good thing for me. It's just not. So I'm really sorry for this long ass video, and I don't even know if I said what I wanted to say, but I've just been avoiding it because it is an embarrassing topic for me, and like I said, like this is stuff that I haven't even shared with my fiance, and I mean that says a lot. So I don't want you guys to struggle. I don't want to struggle, and I want to help people get into a better place so they don't have to go through this because it sucks. So if you're struggling, leave me a comment. If you've overcome an eating disorder, leave me a comment. Let me know what you did to do it. Maybe you can give some tips to other people and help them out as well. So thank you guys for listening. I will be putting more topics out, but I mean, this video was just kind of like to give you the basics and just let you know like what my history is and where I'm coming from. So that'll be it for today, guys. I hope you have an awesome day, and I will catch you guys soon. Bye.